Hello everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Rainbow.
And I'm in a good mood, Rainbow. I'm really in a good mood. Things are looking good these days.
Are you traveling?
Well, I'm thinking of traveling, and even that is a huge improvement over the last 2 years when I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Now I'm thinking of traveling. And of course, there's a long list now in my mind of places to go. Gotta go home and see Mom, of course. You gotta do that. But I'd really like to go back to Europe. Now, I know you've traveled in Europe probably more recently than I did. You went to Paris, I remember.
Yes.
Right? Are there other places in Europe that might be on your bucket list, your travel list? Maybe for the, soon or maybe in the future, but are there places that you've always wanted to go to?
Well, when I was really young, I went to Northern Europe.
Ooh,
that
okay.
has always been a great memory
Beautiful
for
place.
me. However, there's one place. I went to Sweden and Norway.
Okay.
So I haven't been to Denmark or Finland. They say it's the same, but...
Who says that? They're completely wrong about that. And I have good news because for the next 2 days, we will be visiting Copenhagen.
The happiest city in the world?
One of them, that's right. We would be actually happier if we were really visiting Copenhagen, but we won't. We'll be reading about it in the magazine with you guys. But for now, that's kind of the best we can do. And it's much cheaper than going there.
Yeah.
So we'll read about Copenhagen, find out all the great places and great things to do there. And then, when we do start to travel, we'll know exactly where to go and what to do. So let's visit Copenhagen, one of the happiest cities in the world. It's true. As the world leaves the COVID-19 pandemic behind, people are beginning to travel again. And there's no better place to choose for a trip than Copenhagen. It's considered to be among the happiest cities in the world, and its many beautiful attractions might explain why. One of the primary ways for visitors to get around Copenhagen is to rent a bike. The city has over 400 kilometers of broad, level bike paths, so it's easy to get from place to place. All right, yes, so we are in our travel unit for this month, and every month a travel unit makes me sad because it's all these great places. But now I'm really going to start remembering because travel is something that looks like it's going to become easier, and that is good news. So let's visit Copenhagen, one of the happiest cities in the world. I'm a happy person. I want to go there.
As the world leaves the COVID-19 pandemic behind, people are beginning to travel again. And there's no better place to choose for a trip than Copenhagen. I wonder why there's no better place. Maybe because people were depressed during COVID, so they want to go to a happy place.
Okay, yeah, or it's the writer's opinion. If someone says, oh, there's no better restaurant in the city, maybe it's not really a fact, it's an opinion, but they certainly feel that Copenhagen is a great place to visit. There's no better place for a trip than Copenhagen. Why is that? Well, let's read on. It's considered to be among the happiest cities in the world, and its many beautiful attractions might explain why. So again, this is kind of an opinion. It's considered. When you consider something, that's your opinion. That's what you think of it. So lots of people think it's one of the happiest places. It's a beautiful place to go, and it has beautiful attractions or wonderful things that will bring tourists, bring visitors, and give them lots of fun stuff to do and to see when they're in Copenhagen. And then it says one of the primary ways for visitors to get around Copenhagen is to rent a bike. Oh, okay,
nice.
So it's kind of like Amsterdam. I think not too long ago we read about Amsterdam, which is another nice European city, a nice flat European city, so it's easy to rent a bike and ride around. Good for the environment, good for your legs, and also good for your wallet because it's much cheaper than taking a taxi. So what is this whole renting thing that we're doing with our bikes?
So when you rent a bike or you rent something, that means you borrow it for money. So you don't have to buy it. So if you rent a bike, then you don't have to purchase your own. You can just pay a little bit of money and then you can borrow it and then you return it. Once they make sure the bike is okay, and then you probably will get some of your money back because renting still costs a little bit of money. So in Taiwan, we have the U-bike system where you can also rent a bike, which means you don't have to buy one and it's very convenient. And there are lots of different things you can rent. You can rent a car, you can rent a house. That means you don't own the house, you pay the landlord every month. So I have an example sentence for you. This weekend, I will rent a car and drive to Taichung.
Oh, okay, that's a good decision. I think renting a bike and riding to Taichung, that would be your weekend. You couldn't really do anything else. But yeah, renting a car, renting a house, as you say. One thing that we don't use this word for that you might think is a hotel room. You wouldn't really say I'm going to rent a hotel room for 3 days in Hong Kong or something. You'd book a hotel room, you'd stay in a hotel. But it's strange, we don't rent a hotel room.
No, we don't.
It's just understood that it's a hotel room. You wouldn't buy it, you're paying to use it. But other things like bikes, cars, yeah, you could buy them, but in this case, you're paying to use it. All right, back to the article. Find out more about Copenhagen. Well, if you're gonna rent a bike, you might want to do a little bit of exercise before, because there's lots of places to go. It says the city has over 400 kilometers of broad, level bike paths, so it's easy to get from place to place. We would call this a bike-friendly city. It's a very friendly place for bikes and bicycle riders. 400 kilometers. It said the bike paths are wide, so there's lots of space, very difficult to, get in an accident. It says they're they're broad, I should say, not wide. Broad and wide are very similar, and level means flat, as I said. So not a lot of hills, not a lot of riding up and down and that kind of stuff that tires you out. So yes, it's easy to get from place to place in Copenhagen on a bike. Sounds great. And from what I've seen, it's a really beautiful city. It's right on the water, kind of like Amsterdam. So you'll always be surrounded by beautiful scenery.
And the buildings are beautiful.
The buildings are lovely. The water's there on a nice clear day. It would just be beautiful. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back with more about what exactly to do and where exactly to go on your trip to Copenhagen.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这次要介绍旅游地点是丹麦的首都哥本哈根 （Copenhagen）。那这个城市有许多美丽的景点，而且被认为是世界上最幸福的城市之一。我们文章的作者就认为说，没有比哥本哈根更好的旅游选择了。你要游览这个城市，其中一个主要方式就是租脚踏车。它有超过400公里宽阔又平坦的脚踏车道，所以呢，你想要四处逛逛，这是很容易的。单字 rent 它表示租用、租借。那么文中用到 level 在这边当形容词，就是形容平的、平坦的。这边3个重点进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是 no better 名词 than 字面意思是没有比什么更好的什么什么，这是用来强调什么什么就是最好的什么什么。举例来说 ，There's no better comfort food than ice cream， 冰淇淋是最佳疗愈食物，热的时候也吃，伤心的时候也吃，快乐的时候也吃。好，我们再来看到下一个文法重点是动词 consider， 它表示认为，把什么什么视为。那这时候它常用的句型，我们可以先来看主动用法是主词 consider somebody or something to be 再加名词或形容词。那被动的用法是 somebody or something be considered to be 再加名词或形容词，这2个句型当中的 to be 都可以省略。举例来说 ，Ross considers himself funny。Ross 觉得自己很搞笑。He is considered a weirdo by his friends。他被朋友们认为是个怪咖。好，我们再来看下一个重点是句型 it 形容词加上不定词 to be， 这是表达做某事是怎么样的。那么 it 在这边是虚主词，我们真正的主词其实是后面的那个不定词片语 to be。举例来说 It's impossible to please everyone. 要讨好每个人是不可能的，不可能让每个人都满意的。姐是过来人。好，我们接着回到课文中。
If you get tired of cycling, try a canal tour. It's a great way to see the city, and many of the canal boats stop at popular tourist locations. The most famous of these is the Nyhavn district, which is known for its brightly colored picture postcard houses. Nyhavn was once the center of Copenhagen's fishing industry. The area is now a pleasant place for people to dine and listen to jazz music while they enjoy views of the old ships in the canal. All right, so we have rented some bikes in Copenhagen. It's great, 400 kilometers of broad, level bike paths. It's a wonderful way to get around. But yes, eventually your legs might get tired. It might be raining, possibly, or you're just not in the mood to stay on your bike. So, what can you do? Well, we mentioned that Copenhagen and Amsterdam are similar in some ways. Here's another way. It says, if you get tired of cycling, try a canal tour. So Copenhagen, like Amsterdam, has those canals, those sort of very straight waterways, kind of like roads for boats that go around the city. Venice, of course, is also famous for its canals. And you can relax on one of these canal boat tours. It's a great way to see the city, and many of the canal boats stop at popular tourist locations. So like taking a bus tour of New York City or London, in this city you can take a canal tour, but in the same way they'll stop at museums and you know, famous places. You can probably get off, take some pictures, and that's the idea of a tour. When we talk about a tour in this sense, like a holiday tour, we're talking about an organized trip where people with local knowledge will take you around by bus, by boat, by bicycle, or even on foot, and they'll explain things, teach you about the country or the city's history and culture. They're local people with special knowledge, and they make it interesting for tourists, right? To kind of go to a place and maybe check out some things they wouldn't find on their own. With a tour or a tour guide, the person leading it, they have all of the good stuff right there for you. For example, Susan has booked a bus tour of the city's most interesting places.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
And when we take a tour, we would take a tour to go to different locations that everybody loves to visit. So location is a place. So a location is usually a place for a special purpose. So we wouldn't just say, oh, you know, by the street or something. This is going to be like a national park, or maybe it's going to be somewhere that's a famous restaurant. That's an area that's marked, so people might know about it, or there might be some recognition. I have an example sentence for you. Pablo's store has moved to a new location beside the river. Okay, so the next sentence is about where to visit in Copenhagen, and this is a famous place. The most famous of these is the Nyhavn district, which is known for its brightly colored picture postcard houses. Oh, we've definitely always seen those. Those are really pretty. There's like yellow and red houses. Nyhavn was once the center of Copenhagen's fishing industry.
All right, very interesting. Yeah, of course, the fishermen of Copenhagen, they would go out in their fishing boats and they painted those houses so colorfully so that when you came back on your fishing boat, the fishermen would be able to pick out their house. Maybe their kids would be waving from the windows. A lot of fishing towns, they've painted houses colorfully like that so the fishermen out at sea can still see home. Now, what do you find there? Probably not so many fishermen. They're in downtown Copenhagen these days, but you will find lots to do. It says the area is now a pleasant place for people to dine and listen to jazz music while they enjoy views of the old ships in the canal. They've kind of taken that cool idea of, you know, these old buildings that used to be factories or warehouses 100 years ago, and they've turned them into cafes and restaurants and pubs and places to see music. And of course, when you have good restaurants, that's where you go to dine.
Yes, and dine means to eat out. So this is kind of similar to the noun dinner. So this is the verb form dine, and that means to eat out for a nice, lunch or a dinner. It sounds a bit fancier. My father doesn't like to dine at expensive restaurants. Maybe it's a lot of pressure to dine out, so he would rather just eat in.
Okay, you can dine at home, of course, but yeah, it's a more formal meal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say, oh, I'm dining on a hot dog at the baseball
Ice
game.
cream.
Yeah, it's not really exactly. It's not really dining. But if it's a nice 3-4 course meal, maybe for a special event in a nice restaurant, or if you're a good chef, do it at home. Invite your friends to dine at your house. And maybe if you're dining at home or in a restaurant, you can listen to jazz.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Jazz some of it's loud. Jazz is a type of music that was basically developed from the blues in New Orleans. And of course, we think of people like Louis Armstrong and John Coltrane and the greats like that, Miles Davis too. It's a whole genre of music, very popular, created in America, a true American art form, and now it has fans all around the world. And you're right, it can be relaxing. It can also be really crazy and interesting, but it's always fun to listen to jazz. Like Harry. Harry collects jazz records. Wow, he has a big old jazz record collection. I'd like to go and visit Harry's house and see that. All right, guys, well, that's about all the time we have for now, but we're going to have more about Copenhagen. We haven't even really visited the most famous thing in Copenhagen. We're saving that till tomorrow, and we'll have a few other nice surprises for you. So please do come back and join us as we take a trip through pictures in the magazine and our imaginations to Copenhagen. But one day we will go there for real, and we hope that you'll join us for the article tomorrow. Bye!
Bye!
我们在几个月前有介绍过荷兰的首都阿姆斯特丹 Amsterdam， 那边的自行车道遍布各地，而且非常适合骑自行车。然后城市里面还有美丽的运河，这其实听起来跟哥本哈根蛮像的哦。课文就写到说，如果你厌倦骑脚踏车，那就来试试一趟这个运河之旅。这是参观这个城市的绝佳方式，而且许多运河船会停靠在热门的观光景点。那补充一下 ，canal 就是运河。那么单字 tour 它是指旅行或者是短程的游览，像我们说 tour guide 就是导游。Mike 老师在解释单字时，他提到说这个 tour 是有组织的旅行，他用到 organized， 在 organized 后面加上 d 变成一个形容词，就是有组织的、有条理的。下一个单字 location， 它是指地点、位置、场所。那课文接着写到说，其中最有名的景点是新港区。这个地区呢，以颜色鲜艳、风景如画的房屋而闻名。那它曾经是哥本哈根的渔业中心，现在则是一个可以用餐、听爵士乐的好地方。Mike 老师说，这就像人们会把老旧的工厂、仓库等等改造成餐厅、餐馆一样。老师提到 warehouse。W-A-R-E 加上 house 这个字是表达仓库的意思。再来看到单字 dine 是指用餐。老师有提到 chef，C-H-E-F。chef 就表示厨师、主厨，通常是指这个餐厅或饭店的厨师。然后我们看到 jazz 这个单字，它表示爵士乐。爵士乐是一种音乐类型。那我们学一下 Mike 老师说的 genre，G-E-N-R-E，genre 表示类型、题材，常常用来指可能是音乐文学、电影、绘画等等艺术作品的类型。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
As the world leaves the COVID-19 pandemic behind, people are beginning to travel again. And there's no better place to choose for a trip than Copenhagen. It's considered to be among the happiest cities in the world, and its many beautiful attractions might explain why. One of the primary ways for visitors to get around Copenhagen is to rent a bike. The city has over 400 kilometers of broad, level bike paths, so it's easy to get from place to place. If you get tired of cycling, try a canal tour. It's a great way to see the city, and many of the canal boats stop at popular tourist locations. The most famous of these is the Nyhavn district, which is known for its brightly colored picture postcard houses. Nyhavn was once the center of Copenhagen's fishing industry. The area is now a pleasant place for people to dine and listen to jazz music while they enjoy views of the old ships in the canal.
Hi, my name is Toi.
And I'm Vivian.
And today we're playing Guess the Bear. And so we each have 3 cards with words on them. And I have to say the 2 sentences on the card, replacing the word with bear. And Vivian is supposed to guess the word that I said bear for. And so, we each have 1 minute to guess the words on each of these three cards. Are you ready?
I think so.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start.
Okay.
Ready? So it's a verb, it's 1 word. First sentence, I bared an apartment with 2 roommates. Second one, they wanted to bear in the city, but it's too expensive.
Rent.
Yes, very good. Second one, it's a verb, 1 word. They bared on steak and lobster. He invited her to bear with him tomorrow.
Dine.
Yes, you're so good at this. Okay, last one. Phrase, 2 words. This bear, the best art museum in the world. He bear, the father of modern psychology.
Maybe.
Keep going.
Could be.
Keep going.
Can you say it again?
Yeah. This bear, the best art museum in the world.
Is the.
Not quite. It's a phrase.
I don't know.
No worries. So the word is, or the phrase is considered.
Is considered.
So this is considered the best art museum in the world.
Okay.
He is considered the father of modern psychology. Yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
That was kind of.
You were in the ballpark.
Okay. You ready for yours?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, so this one is a noun, 1 word. We went on a bear of a wildlife refuge. The ship was out for a 3-hour bear.
Visit?
Close.
Tour? Yes? Okay.
Okay, so this one is a noun. It's 1 word. This is the bear of a major battle in World War II. The GPS didn't know our exact bear.
Location.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, this one's a little bit harder. It's a phrase, it's 3 words. Okay. There's bear, doctor, bear Sarah. She's an expert. He has bear friend, bear Danny.
Say the last one again.
He has bear friend, bear Danny.
So it's a split phrase.
Correct.
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
It's no better than. So there's no better doctor than Sarah. She's an expert.
Oh gosh.
He has no better friend than Danny.
Yeah, I definitely was not.
That was
gonna
hard.
get
That was a hard one. For sure.
Oh, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great.
See you next time.